Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to kick off this brand new series with you all about starting your very own garden from the ground up. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, there's always something new to learn. And that's what I love so much about gardening. It's a journey that evolves year after year. If you've been dreaming of those homegrown tomatoes, fresh herbs right outside your door, or just a little more green in your life, then early spring, we're talking March and April, is the perfect time to get started. Those seeds won't know what hit them. In this video, we're going to walk step by step through how to choose the right location for your garden, design a simple and effective layout, and gather those essential tools and supplies that every gardener needs to succeed. So grab a notebook and your favorite pen. Your garden journey starts right here. All right, let's dive into the first and probably most important decision you'll make for your garden location. Just like a good house needs a solid foundation, your garden needs the right spot to truly thrive. We want to set ourselves up for success from the very beginning, right? Now, when I think about the perfect garden spot, I picture a bright, sunny space filled with so much natural light. Most vegetables, herbs, and even those beautiful flowering plants need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day. Think about how the sun travels across your yard throughout the day. You might even want to grab a notebook and jot down some sunny spots you notice throughout the morning and afternoon. Don't worry if you don't have a completely wide open space. I've definitely worked some magic in my fair share of partially shaded yards. Just keep in mind which areas get the most sun, and maybe plan for some shade-loving plants in those other areas. We can get creative. Next up, let's talk about soil. Oh, the soil, it's the heart and soul of any garden. You want soil that's nice and loose, well-draining, and full of those good nutrients that your plants are going to gobble up. To get a feel for your soil, go ahead and scoop up a handful. Does it crumble easily in your hand? That's a good sign. If it feels more like clay and sticks together in a tight ball, it might need a little extra love in the form of compost or other organic matter. Don't worry, we'll cover soil improvement in a later episode. Now, while sunshine and soil are major players in the garden location game, there are a few other things I like to keep in mind when I'm scoping out the perfect spot. First, think about accessibility. You want to choose a spot that's easy to get to with your gardening tools, your watering can, or even a wheelbarrow full of compost. Trust me, you don't want to be hauling heavy things across your yard every time you need to tend to your garden. Speaking of watering, water access is another key factor. Is there an outdoor faucet nearby? If not, how easy will it be to water your garden with a hose or watering can? You want to make sure your plants have a consistent water source, especially during those hot summer months. And lastly, don't forget about those pesky critters. If you've battled deer, rabbits, or other garden visitors before, you might want to consider a location that's a little more protected. Maybe it's closer to your house, or you have a fence you can put up. We'll talk more about natural pest control later in the series, but for now, let's just say it's better to be proactive than to lose your entire crop of lettuce to a family of rabbits. Been there, done that. So to recap, when choosing your garden location, think about sunshine, soil, accessibility, water access, and those four-legged friends who might want to join in on the fun. Take your time, walk around your yard, and really envision where you want your garden to grow. It's all about finding that sweet spot that feels just right. Now that you've found the perfect spot for your garden, it's time to start thinking about design. This is where things start to get really fun for me. It's like piecing together a puzzle. But instead of cardboard, we're using plants, pathways, and a whole lot of imagination. Whether you're working with a small backyard plot, a few raised beds, or even just some containers on a patio, having a well-thought-out garden layout can make all the difference. It helps you maximize your space, ensures that your plants have enough room to grow, and let's be honest, it just looks more put together and inviting. So, where do we begin? Well, I always like to start with a good old-fashioned sketch. Don't worry, you don't have to be an artist to do this. Just grab a piece of paper, or even better, graph paper if you want to be super precise, and start sketching out the shape of your garden area. Mark down any existing features like trees, fences, or pathways. Once you have the basic outline, start thinking about the types of plants you want to grow and how much space they'll need. Remember, those little seedlings might look small now, but they'll grow bigger and bushier as the season goes on. Give them plenty of room to spread their roots and reach for the sky. Now here's a little design tip I've learned over the years. Think about creating different zones or sections within your garden. Maybe you have a dedicated herb garden near the kitchen, a sunny spot for your tomatoes and peppers, and a cooler, shadier area for your leafy greens. Creating these zones not only helps with organization, but also allows you to group plants with similar needs together. Another thing I love to incorporate into my garden designs is pathways. Not only do they add a charming touch, but they also make it easier to move around your garden and tend to your plants without stepping on those precious seedlings. You can use gravel, mulch, stepping stones, or even just leave a grassy path. Get creative and have fun with it. As you're planning your layout, don't forget about vertical space. If you're working with a smaller area, consider adding trellises, arbors, or even just some tall stakes to support climbing plants like beans, cucumbers, or tomatoes. It's a great way to maximize your growing space and add some visual interest to your garden. And lastly, don't be afraid to experiment and have fun with it. There's no right or wrong way to design your garden, so let your creativity run wild. Try different plant combinations, add some decorative elements like garden art or birdhouses, and make it your own little slice of paradise. All right, now that we've covered location and design, it's time to talk about the fun part: tools. Having the right tools on hand makes gardening so much more enjoyable and efficient. It's like having a good set of paintbrushes when you're tackling a DIY project. It just makes everything go smoother. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Joanna, do I really need a whole shed full of tools to get started? And the answer is no, absolutely not. You can start with a few basic essentials and then add to your collection over time as your garden grows. First things first, you're going to need a good pair of gardening gloves. Trust me, your hands will thank you. Look for gloves that are durable, comfortable, and breathable, especially if you're gardening in warmer weather. And if you're like me and love to get your hands dirty, you might even want to have a couple of different pairs on hand. One for heavier duty tasks like digging and weeding, and a lighter pair for planting seeds and more delicate work. Next up, let's talk about digging tools. A sturdy hand trowel is a must-have for digging small holes, transplanting seedlings, and even weeding in tight spaces. For larger tasks like turning over soil or digging bigger holes for planting, you'll want to invest in a good garden spade or shovel. Look for tools with comfortable handles and durable blades that can withstand a little wear and tear. Now let's talk about watering. A watering can is essential for giving your plants a gentle drink, especially when they're first getting established. Look for one with a comfortable handle and a spout that allows for even watering. If you have a larger garden, you might also want to consider a garden hose with a spray nozzle for more efficient watering. And speaking of hoses, don't forget about a hose guide. It's a simple tool that helps prevent your hose from getting tangled and makes it so much easier to maneuver around your garden. Trust me, it's a lifesaver, especially if you have a larger garden. Another essential tool for any gardener is a good pair of pruning shears. These are perfect for snipping herbs, deadheading flowers, and even pruning back larger plants. Look for shears that are sharp, comfortable to hold, and can handle a variety of pruning tasks. Now let's talk about something that's not exactly a tool, but it's just as important: a garden journal or notebook. This is where you'll keep track of everything from what you planted and when to any pest or disease problems you encounter. It's a great way to learn from your experiences and make adjustments for future seasons. And lastly, don't forget about those little extras that can make gardening even more enjoyable. A kneeling pad can save your knees during those long weeding sessions. A sun hat will protect you from the sun's rays. And a garden caddy is perfect for keeping all your tools organized and within reach. Remember, building your gardening tool collection is a journey, not a race. Start with the basics and then add to your arsenal over time as you discover what works best for you and your garden. And most importantly, have fun with it. Well, there you have it, friends. We've covered a lot of ground today, from choosing the perfect garden location to designing a layout that reflects your style and gathering those essential tools that will help you along the way. I hope you feel inspired and empowered to get out there and start creating your own little slice of garden heaven. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments down below where you're planning on setting up your garden this year. Are you going with raised beds, planting directly in the ground, or maybe trying your hand at container gardening? I love hearing about all your garden plans. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're excited for garden season. And subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on the rest of our spring to fall gardening series. I've got so many more tips, tricks, and garden inspiration to share with you all. Happy gardening, everyone!